Welcome back to Hiking with Kathleen. In today's video, this is a bonus video. This is an add-on to our 3-week series when we camped here at Pinery Provincial Park. So in today's video, we're going to find out a little bit more of the background to the management of the resources, the flora, the fauna, the habitat that exists here at Pinery. So joining me today will be Alistair MacKenzie. He is the resource manager and supervisor of the visitor services. And so you're going to hear it directly from him in terms of what they strive to do in order to provide information to you, the public, and be able to carry off things behind the scenes to make sure that the habitat, the flora, the fauna remains safe.
My name's Alistair MacKenzie. I'm the supervisor of discovery and resource management here at Pinery Park, and I've worked here since May of 1999.
What is it that you would like visitors and camp users to know, and why it's of importance to preserve those things?
Well, I think, that one of the most important things is that the Ontario Provincial Park system, as well as Pinery in particular, is full of all kinds of incredible things for people to come and enjoy. But we really got to start thinking about these places as not just parks to take benefit from, but places to give back to. So I've really been adjusting my messages recently to talk more about giving back to parks and being a really good steward when you visit them. So yes, when you come, you gain a lot of benefit from enjoying time with family and friends, but we need people to behave responsibly in parks, doing things like picking up litter, staying on designated trails, respecting distance between wildlife and themselves when they view them. And there's so many ways now that people can give back through initiatives like community science, where reporting your observations and sightings can really help us to better manage and operate parks across the province. Despite the many dedicated staff that we have, the provincial park system is expansive, and being able to monitor everything effectively at the same time is a big challenge. So when we have people come to parks as part of your visit, reporting things to us helps us make sure that we can better operate and manage parks and sustain the critical wildlife habitat for these species. What it's become about is the body armor.
Yes.
The body armor is, there's so many different life forms here that we could talk about, but a few groups in particular. I think one that lately I've been allocating a lot of my time towards are bats. This group of animals are under critical threat right now from things like diseases such as white nose syndrome, from habitat loss, from persecution, changes to their diet of insects. And so it's really important that we do our best to try to support them through these challenges. And, a lot of people have many questions about bats, so engaging with our discovery program, either in the visitor center or out in the park in one of our programs, is a way that people can learn more about these things and find out how they can best help them, both during their visit to parks and back at their home residences. And there are initiatives. We have a community science program here where you can sign out a handheld bat detector during your stay and go out for a night or two and record audible signals from the bats as they're flying around foraging, report those back to us, and it helps us gain better understanding of where they are and which habitats are critical for their success in being here in the park. So those are ways that people can give back for bats, and there's a lot more you can learn about them. Another group to talk about are turtles and reptiles and amphibians. So many of them are under threat from many of the same things, habitat loss and change, but specifically in parks, road mortality is a critical issue for these groups. And it's really important that people slow down in parks, they respect the posted speed limits, and be very observant. These areas are natural hotspots for animals, and when you come here, you really have to have a higher level of awareness. So things like our wildlife on roadways risk sign that we've posted in the park identifies peak activity periods, and it's meant to give a signal back to drivers to say, turtles are nesting now, so I should slow down and be ever more vigilant when I'm driving around in the park. So there's a lot more about turtles and reptiles, but some other groups that I'll just point out is, we have witnessed the return of black bears into this park, which is, quite astounding. I never thought in my time here that I would see that, where bears were eradicated from this area and they've now returned, likely migrating southwards from more northern populations. And other examples like river otters. We have river otters active in the Asaba River watershed, including the old Asaba Channel here in Pinery. And again, in my time, I never expected to see those things, and it's indicative that the landscape is becoming better able to support them, those sort of apex species that require expansive connected habitat, and maybe also indicative of some greater understanding, awareness, and compassion amongst park visitors and local landowners as to how to live alongside these kinds of things. So I think in summary, just, making people aware of this great diversity here, and there's so many ways that people can come and experience those things and not cause harm, and also potentially provide benefit during their stay.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm aware that you have authored and co-authored certain field guides that actually address some of the animal groups that you've mentioned. What is it that is about those books that help you to deliver your message, perhaps while you're working here at the Pinery?
Well, I think, like many people who allocate their life towards working in this sector in sort of environment, natural spaces, a lot of them get an exposure to these kinds of things at a young age. And I was the same. I grew up in Africa, and upon immigrating to Canada, I had this newfound sort of interest in what was out there, and my parents exposed me to provincial parks. And some of my learning of the new species I was seeing was based on seminal classics like the Peterson Field Guide series. And I realize now more than ever that people can't appreciate things that they don't know about. So the photo field guide series that I've been part of is really aimed at making people aware of what is out there. And just those sparks of interest are the kinds of things that lay down a foundation for either a vocation in this field, or even if it's part of your pastime, that you have sort of an interest and respect for these organisms. And whether you're interested in birds or mammals or fungi, learning about them, identifying new species, adding them to your roster of the ones you've seen is a lot of fun. And if you report those sightings to experts, either directly or through things like community science apps, it increases our collective understanding of where they occur and whether their numbers are stable, increasing or decreasing, which ultimately just contributes to better management and protection of these elements, and it helps maintain the ecological integrity of our protected spaces like provincial parks. So I really am passionate about educating people about what's out there so they can gain an understanding and familiarity, and hopefully that leads to better stewardship activities when they do visit natural spaces, including provincial parks. A lot of people come to Pinery for sort of the recreational amenities. They come to camp and visit the beach, but there is a whole nother side to the park. This is a biodiversity hotspot, and so many partners use it as sort of an outdoor laboratory for studying and learning more about a whole host of species. So we do have a process for that to take place. People can obtain a research authorization to come and do work either independently or in partnership with Ontario Parks. And some of the examples you give, like our turtle project, we are working with some academic partners. There are both staff on the project and sometimes students who work towards their graduate degrees. And we're looking at, a variety of questions about populations, their survival, etc. So nest protection for turtles, for instance, is looking at, recruitment of how many young are brought into the population after eggs are laid. So there's a whole sort of myriad of types of research partnerships that we have, and it's a way that Ontario can Ontario Parks can support those investigations, all aimed at sort of improving, maintaining and restoring the ecological integrity of our parks. The list of research projects is long. There are people who come in to study insects, forest pathogens, even things like atmospheric conditions. There will be water sampling taken in the park. We work closely with partners like the local conservation authorities. And so in any given year, there's a variety of different applications to do work, and they really span the full depth and breadth of all of the species in the park. So currently we're working on some partnerships to do with the Old Stobble Channel and that community. It's hydrology, some forest pathogens, like I mentioned, for things, some diseases of concern for trees. So it really varies from year to year and is quite expansive at times.
Okay, well, you know what? You've given a lot of really great information, and Alistair, I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the time that we've taken to hike around the Riverside Trail today. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I hope you've enjoyed your stay here. And again, when people come here, that they act as good stewards for this incredible space.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again.